Hey everyone, and welcome to the My Ray of Sunshine podcast. My name is Mayra, and I'm here to help you receive the advice you deserve. Now, if you all are here, it's probably because you want to know how you can stop being your worst enemy and thinking you're the worst person in the world. And I will figure it out with you as I record this episode because, again, I am recording when I am inspired and when I feel like this topic is something that hits close to home. And speaking of home, these boxes right here, don't mind them. If you're watching my video podcast on YouTube, I am moving. April 1st is the day, and right now I'm recording in the beginning of March. So everything's all over the place, so just please bear with me. Everything's like literally everywhere. My room is an entire mess as we speak, and things are just in boxes and not where they used to be anymore. I sold my ottoman, actually, that I used to always sit on, so this is definitely a change of vibe. And even though I hate to have like really short seasons, at the same time, this is a short and sweet one. Season 6 will just consist of my 4 episodes, and it doesn't stop there, you guys, because now I will have so much more room, so much more space to actually just do my own thing, and I can't wait until you guys see like the new setup that I have in mind, that I already have in boxes as we speak, and it'll just all come together beautifully. But anyway, let me stop ranting right here before I get carried away about moving and everything. I really wanted to talk mostly about how sometimes we can feel like we're our own worst enemies, and it's really such a sucky feeling to like have to deal with. And to be honest, I really wish I had an answer for this one. Like, normally when I have a topic in mind to discuss, I'm like, bada bing, bada boom, this is how exactly I can help guide you guys. But I mean, at the same time, I don't have all the answers as much as I'd like. And I'm right there learning with you at the same time. Like, we're just going through things together. So let's just experience the unknown together. But what I think would be a good way to kind of like not be your own worst enemy is like definitely saying what you think in your head out loud to someone. And that might be super bizarre to even do. It's like, why would I drag someone else into this? But honestly, like, I feel like we can normally just be very critical about ourselves, everything we do. If we make a mistake, we're super, super hard on ourselves, and we just keep on like, beating ourselves up over this. And unfortunately, like, it's really rough to just not do that and just stop doing that and stop getting out of your head, or stop getting into your head so much, being too deep in all those feelings of negativity about yourself. But what I actually learned today is if you just tell someone what you're thinking and how you're viewing yourself, like, maybe they can like give you feedback as to how they see that you're doing. And sometimes like a new perspective is all you need, because it's easy for us to look at ourselves and be like, oh no, we did a horrible job at this. We're the worst person in the world. But then when you see how others see you, like it changes the game a lot. It's mostly like, why? why does it have to, like, matter what we think about ourselves, right? Like, we're so concerned about what we think about ourselves, plus the fear of what other people are thinking about us. And let's be honest, like, sometimes, like, what we have envisioned in our heads is so much worse than what others see us. So asking them straight up, like, what feedback they can provide, how they actually view you, can help you see yourself in a different light. And I will get into, like, story time, like, towards the end when I actually applied this in my life today, actually at work. But yeah, I mean, I think, like, just speaking your thoughts and saying what's on your mind can really help, even if you sound crazy during the process. And along with that, it's okay to be vulnerable during anything. A lot of people see vulnerability as being, like, a weakness, but in reality, like, it can really help you understand, like, where you're coming from and help others understand where you're coming from too. And, like, you kind of, like, put down your walls and you're just like, hey, this is me right now. I'm not okay. Help. Even though it's hard to admit that you need help or that you see yourself a certain way, like, it's actually not as bad as you may think, because those things are, like, appreciated, and, like, it helps the other person see where you're coming from. And another thing that, like, ties right into this is basically just admitting when you are wrong. Like, it's important, and it takes courage to see when, yes, you have made a mistake, yes, you are wrong, and, like, admitting to that. Because, you know, we could just selfishly not do any of those things and just go on thinking, like, no, we don't make mistakes, everything's perfect, we're perfect, you're the problem. But it's also good to see things from others' point of view and to actually stand back and reflect on that and think to yourself, like, okay, maybe this is a me problem. And you know that saying, like, it's not you, it's me? Like, there are so many instances where I feel that way so much. And it's mostly, too, because, like, I am a highly sensitive person, and I didn't realize this until not too long ago, where that's actually a thing. Like, there's literally a podcast dedicated to highly sensitive people, and it makes me feel less alone knowing that, like, okay, I'm not the only one taking everything so personally. I'm not the only one who feels crazy for having so many emotions, but sometimes you just have to go with it. And I think being a highly sensitive person and also being your own worst enemy at times, it's a huge battle, because, like, your own words, your own thoughts can hurt yourself. And it's just a challenge to overcome on your own. And that's, like, something that I took away a lot today, for instance, because the way that I applied this in my life is that today I had something going on at work where I basically had to do, like, a presentation. So I had to, like, share my screen on Zoom and, you know, click on next slide. And there are many other components that go into just, like, clicking next all the time. But throughout that process, like, I felt like I wasn't doing a great job. I really, like, felt that to my core, because I was overthinking the fact that I wouldn't fade in the music properly. and like have it be like a smooth fade in and fade out or whatever the case may be. And there were many other components throughout the meeting or webinar that I was just like, what am I doing? Like, all eyes are on me. I'm representing the company right now. What is actually happening? So I tell you this because it's so true. I was this close to like breaking down. And after I had the webinar and once it was over, I was just like, no, Mayra, that was a horrible job. What are you doing, girl? And I was just like not happy with the outcome whatsoever. I texted my boyfriend so he could call me like once he woke up. And I was just like, this is not good. This is not good at all. But then I know that like I myself am so critical of myself that I can just go on and on and on and ramble on and on about everything that I've done horribly wrong in my head. And for the first time, well, not for the first time, I would say the second time work-wise, where I felt like, okay, now it's someone else's turn to tell me that I'm doing a horrible job. Like, I'm opening the doors. I am open to your feedback. Give it to me. Like, I'd rather hear it from someone else other than myself so I can take things seriously. Because sometimes if I constantly keep hearing, like, in my head, like, you suck, like, you did this wrong, you're doing a bad job, like, what are you doing? Sometimes I'm just like, am I right? Am I wrong? Am I overthinking it? Maybe I should just ignore it. And like a lot of the times I just ignore it. Like I just like sweep it under the rug and like hope and cross my fingers that like no one else has seen what a terrible job I did or am doing or whatever. And I've noticed that like, I mean, clearly if I was doing a bad job, I would definitely know. But like, in this instance, after the webinar, I was just like, I'm this close to breaking down. I need someone to just like listen, and someone specifically who was with me during this webinar that can just tell me what they felt about it. That's all. So I literally messaged someone from my team. I was just like, hey, do you have time for a quick call? And it was really just to vent, and I honestly opened the floor for any feedback, and I was just like, hey, like, what did you think of the webinar? And they were honestly super glad that it was over, which I agree, but I was just like, honestly, I don't think I did a good job. I should have done X, Y, and Z, like, but I know that I am very, very hard on myself and I'm very critical to everything that I do all the time, which is really annoying. And I rather hear your feedback to see what you think of me. Like, how do you perceive me in this moment during this webinar? How do you think I did? Like, and granted, these weren't the exact words that I used, but it was basically with that same intention of like learning about like how I was perceived in that moment. And, you know, she had very positive things to say, and she was not concerned about any of the things that I was worried about. And a lot of it was minor, and a lot of it was miscommunication at the same time with the client. And that is not on me. That's just like the client's responsibility. Like, we did everything we could do, and I did everything that I could have possibly done. She gave me a few tips as well for like the future, like what I can do to improve, and basically concluded it with, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, everything's a learning experience. And that is what I needed to hear. Like, even if she told me like, Mayra, you need to advance slides a little bit faster, or Mayra, I didn't appreciate you doing this or not doing this. like, I was, like, receptive. I'm like, I am all ears. Like, I really need to hear, because, like, when I need feedback, I crave it. And even if it's constructive criticism, like, I really do, like, have points where I'm like, okay, I don't want the sugarcoating. Just give it to me straight. Like, let me know if I'm doing a good job. And, like, this ties into, like, my work trauma that I've had before, where I've just been, like, super cautious about how I presented myself at work. Like, I would try to put a front and, like, feel like I knew everything, when in reality I was learning, and we're all learning, you know? So I really did feel like I'm like still a little bit, like, scared. Like, I feel like I've always been scared of, oh no, like, fire Mayra, because that's literally what's happened in the past. I mean, that is literally, I wish I was joking, guys. That is what happened. And it was scary when you just don't know who to trust, and you don't know when you can be vulnerable with people. You don't know who to be vulnerable with. And when you can't trust your team, like, you need to find a new team, basically. And I've taken my chances. I mean, this is the second person that I've vented to on, like, you know, openly telling them I didn't do a good job, or I don't know what I just did. But, like, everyone from my team has been super, like, open arms, like, welcoming, supportive, and reassuring at the same time. And it's nice to see things from their perspective as well. It's nice to see that they're not even paying attention as to, wow, Mayra didn't even fade in the music in accordingly, or whatever the case may have been. They're just focused on, like, getting this show webinar over with. And same, but also it's, like, hard for me to forget something if I know I could have done better. So yeah, I mean, today could have honestly ended in a horrible, horrible way, where I could have just been like, this is bad, I did a bad job. I could have gotten in my head a lot more than I already was, and I could have had a breakdown. And luckily I do work from home, so that's fine. I can easily cover it up and just not turn on my camera when I have a meeting. But I didn't want it to get to that point if it didn't have to be. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, even when you're not your own biggest fan, like, sometimes it's important to just, like, be open to other people's feedback, and, like, have them tell you how they see you in a certain situation overall, like, whatever the case may be. It's nice to hear from someone else versus yourself, when all you're doing is telling yourself, like, what are you doing? You're doing a bad job. You suck. All the time. And it's unfortunate, because, like, a lot of the times it's like, if you keep having that dialogue in your head, it's like, what the heck? Like, I don't know. It's really hard to hear that stuff and that dialogue all the time. And you just don't know, like, what is real, what is just in your head, basically. And it could also, like, lead to low self-esteem. Like, I mean, today I finished hanging out with one of my best friends, and, like, she gave me a whole, like, birthday present, like, one birthday gift, another housewarming gift, and it was, like, the sweetest thing. And, like, the whole time I'm thinking, like, I don't deserve this, you know? And I feel like it's so sad to hear myself say that in my head, when in reality, like, I mean, everyone is human. I'm human. we all make mistakes. Like, I felt like recently it's just been, I feel like I've just been lacking with maintaining friendships and relationships. It's just been like really difficult and challenging to do that. And I think that even though like I've felt that way, so many people don't see it that way, you know? I feel like it's just so easy for me to think to myself as like, oh, I'm just the worst friend. Like, if I forgot a birthday or something, like, life gets in the way. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it helps when you just talk it out, and at the end of the day, you are worth absolutely everything, like great things that happen in your life. You're worthy of them. Like, they're happening to you for a reason. And sometimes you just have to accept that, and you just have to really, really own it and not run away from that and be shy about it or feel like you don't deserve something like that, because I mean, this doesn't really apply. Well, actually it could apply to friendships and just all relationships, even with family, is you accept the love that you think you deserve. And that was from Perks of Being a Wallflower. And that was from The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And it's true. I mean, if you think you deserve bad things to happen to you, that's what you're gonna continue chasing after. But if you know in your heart that, like, you deserve better, you will receive that. You just have to be open to continue receiving that, and also keeping in mind that, like, you're not perfect. No one is perfect, and it's okay when things slip. It's just important to just be vulnerable, be vocal about it, and really admit when you are in the wrong of something. Like, communication is everything, and it really does help come to an understanding, right? And like, that's what I am learning. Instead of like running away or hiding from certain things, like, it's just better to face it head on and keep doing me. But I really hope this episode helped you in some sort of way, helped you realize that you're not the only one who is constantly having to change the dialogue in your head. But it is tough to just flip the switch. So that's why it's so important to just make sure that you are also just trying to be kinder. I mean, I had an episode about this, like being kinder to yourself. And here I am saying, like, how to not be your own worst enemy. Like, I don't get it. Could it be imposter syndrome that I have? Maybe. Like, honestly, maybe. Because I always feel like I'm an inconvenience, or, certain people perceive me a certain way that may not be a good one. And, like, at the end of the day, who is actually telling me this? It's just myself. It's me telling myself this. And who knows yourself better than yourself? So that's why I think it's important to just, like, keep training your mind into accepting all of you, no matter what, no matter the circumstances. And everything else will just kind of trickle and fall into place. But, I mean, we can't beat ourselves up over something that we can't control. And for the things that we can control, let's talk about it. Let's listen and get other people's perspectives and just try to come to an understanding. And a lot of that is vulnerability, because we're our most vulnerable selves when we are criticizing ourselves, unfortunately. So let's change that dialogue, why don't ya? Yeah. I wish it was that easy. Trust me, I wish, but I guess like it just really sucks when that's like all you hear, and it's like also realizing like it's good that like other people care, you know. And it's nice when other people see so highly of you. Like, that should make you feel even better. It just sucks, the process of getting that and coming into terms with that and like actually believing that. I'll have another episode about like self-confidence, because like it's even bizarre just hearing me talk about this, because I mean, I felt like I've grown, you know, throughout the years. I feel like I've gotten wiser and I've gotten more confident, because when I was younger, it was just like I was very shy. But I don't know. I mean, certain things change in certain aspects. I'm like super confident in certain areas, and then in other areas, it's like, no, I am not very confident at all. Which should definitely change. But I guess just having that positive inner dialogue is all we can do, and reaching out to those that we love for that clarity can also help. You will realize that you are loved by so many when you just open yourself up and are open to that love and accepting that love at the same time. And you deserve that and much more. Believe me. We just have to believe that for ourselves. I really hope this podcast made you smile at least once. Maybe. Stay tuned for more advice and positivity for the following season, season 7, where I will finally be able to show you my new podcast studio. It's just my apartment, but I am excited for this journey. I'll be living with my boyfriend. I'll be in a new stage in my life, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So just hang on there and follow me throughout the journey. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by just searching My Ray of Sunshine podcast, and I pop up. And I love hearing from you, love the feedback. So please feel free to reach out. If you can relate, leave a comment down below. I'm excited and looking forward to not feeling lonely, guys. Like, I know I say, you're never lonely, but help me to feel less lonely. I know sometimes, like, I know I talked about this in my first episode, but I know at times, like, I just don't post as much. I'm not as active on social media. I'm definitely trying, especially, like, balancing work and my podcast, but podcasting is definitely something that I need. It's like my journal for the soul. Only people can hear it and watch me, which is kind of awkward if you think about it, but I try not to think about it. Keep a positive inner dialogue and make sure you are open to all the love and all the sunshine that the world has to offer you. Bye!